When I suggested that we spend Thanksgiving together at home this year, my husband Rob frowned and scolded me. Didn't we agree that every year we go to our own families and spend Thanksgiving separately? Why are you changing your mind now? Our children, standing nearby, also chimed in, urging me to keep up with the times. These days, young people don't insist on going to the other person's family for Thanksgiving, Michael said with an air of authority. Outwardly, I gave in, but secretly I had already bought a train ticket to his family's home in Chicago. When I arrived, everything became clear to me. No wonder he didn't want to take me home for Thanksgiving. He had brought Jennifer Wilson instead. At least I didn't come in vain. Now I understood why every time I mentioned wanting to spend Thanksgiving with him, our children always looked so uneasy and anxious. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but the tickets to Chicago are sold out," the ticket agent tentatively asked, pulling me out of my daze. I snapped back to reality. "Oh, never mind. Thank you." Meanwhile, Jennifer Wilson, a well-known influencer in town, updated her social media. In the video, a man was peeling tangerines for her while a young pair in the yard were setting off fireworks. The scene was warm and harmonious. Caption: "Another Thanksgiving. May we have another 30 years together." Below, a stream of fan comments poured in praising her beauty and their relationship. Jennifer replied, "Little sisters, you misunderstood. The man in the video is my old friend and his children. This is the 30th Thanksgiving we've spent together. The man in the video was my husband of 30 years, and the children in the background were the ones I carried for 10 months and gave birth to. 30 years. 30 whole years." The cold wind blew against my face, and suddenly everything clicked into place. The handmade necklace Rob crafted during our 10th year of marriage that he claimed was for Emma. The Polaroid films he always bought before Thanksgiving but never showed photos from. The scarves I knitted each year that he never wore. I collapsed on the street, the truth too heavy to bear. I woke up in a hospital bed. Michael and Emma stood over me, their faces showing more annoyance than concern. "Mom, why didn't you go back to Boston? What about Max? Who's going to take care of him?" Michael asked. "Max, our family dog, seemed to get more care and attention than I ever did." "Mom, please be reasonable," Emma said. "Your brother and I rushed over when we heard you were in the hospital, only to find out it wasn't even a big deal." I pressed my hand into the mattress beneath the blanket. "Rushed over? Huh. Didn't you say you were going to Jacksonville this year? It takes 5 hours by plane from there to here, and I was only unconscious for half an hour. So how did you get here so fast?" They both furrowed their brows in confusion, looking at each other. "What are you implying? Every year we bring back local specialties from the cities we visit on Thanksgiving. Are you accusing us of lying to you?" "Yes. Every year they would travel to different cities for Thanksgiving, always returning with local specialties. That's why I never suspected a thing. I had been completely deceived by the people closest to me for all these years." "Wait!" I clenched my hand, pulled out my phone, and clicked on Jennifer's video. I handed it to my children, speaking quietly. "All these years, you've been celebrating Thanksgiving together, haven't you?" Michael and Emma froze, their bodies stiff with fear as they stared at each other, embarrassment, confusion, yet there was not a trace of surprise or guilt. "Mom, that silhouette really looks like us, don't you think?" They'd gone to such lengths to help Rob and Jennifer cover up the truth. And now I was the only one left in the dark. A bitter taste spread in my mouth. Just as the tears began to fall, Rob suddenly appeared in the room. "What are you doing here? Don't you know how worried everyone is at home? It's Thanksgiving, and you're causing trouble." Rob's tone was full of helplessness, as though I was the one making a scene and ruining things for them. "Rob, you all should leave. I had lived most of my life never truly living for myself, and I had finally decided I would no longer be trapped in this lie. I said, get out. Out. Just leave." In a fit of rage, I threw a pillow at Rob. His eyes widened in surprise, but he coldly responded, "Sarah, you're breaking the promise we made. That's disrespectful. You've ruined a perfectly good Thanksgiving. We all had our own plans, and you've destroyed them." He slammed the food he had brought onto the table. We had known each other for 40 years, been married for 30. He had always treated me well, never ignoring my feelings. Even our neighbors couldn't help but praise him, envying our marriage. But I never imagined that beneath the seemingly sweet surface, it was all a lie. "Rob, Did you really think you could hide it for a lifetime? After 30 years, and you're not tired? Rather than sneaking around, I'll set you free. You won't have to keep up the lie to me, your so-called wife and mother." Rob paused, turning to look at our son and daughter. Their faces were frozen in shock. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. His face betrayed his panic. Michael, frustrated, blocked my way. "Mom, is this really necessary? Dad and Aunt Jennifer are both so old. Besides, you're so old now. If you get divorced, who's going to take care of you? What kind of life do you think you'll have?" "Michael's right, Mom. We're just looking out for you," Emma quickly added. "Look, Dad brought you salad. Doesn't that show he cares about you?" Emma placed the lunchbox in front of me. What was he expecting? That a box of salad with kale, which I hated, would somehow make me forget everything? I had only now realized just how low they thought of me. The edge of the takeout box had lipstick marks on it. All along, Rob had probably reserved his real care and thoughtfulness for someone else. "You really are ungrateful," Michael snapped, leaving me with nothing but the angry slam of the door. After they left, Rob sighed and pinched his brow. "Sarah, I can explain. Things aren't the way you think. I haven't been unfaithful. Back then, Jennifer's parents did so much for me, and I swore I'd take care of her. Her parents died early, and she was so alone. If I didn't accompany her on Thanksgiving, I feared she might do something drastic." I waited in silence until he finished, then said, "Are you done? Then let's talk about our divorce." "Sarah!" Rob snapped. "You don't need to explain anything. All these years, you've been hiding things from me. Just give me a time when we can arrange the divorce." At that moment, a patient from the next room returned and glared at Rob. After a beat, in a tone laced with defiance, he said, "What's that to you? Didn't you use to scarf down leftover meals when you washed dishes at the restaurant? Jennifer is healthy. What's there to worry about?" Some words cut deeper than any blade. I recall that first year of our marriage when Rob was laid off. For 4 months, he couldn't find work, and I held his family together by juggling 3 part-time jobs. I even resorted to eating customers' leftover meals at the restaurant where I worked. When Rob learned of it then, his eyes welled with sympathy as he held me close and cried with me, vowing never again to let me suffer through eating scraps. Abruptly, he rose and left, murmuring, "You're too worked up right now to talk calmly." Every street was filled with holiday spirit, yet there I lay, alone in a hospital bed. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with several texts from Jennifer, begging to meet up. Michael and Emma were also firing off texts, some offering excuses for their dad. But not one message carried any genuine concern for how I felt. I didn't reply to a single one. Before I managed to leave the hospital, I encountered an uninvited guest at the exit. Jennifer Wilson, practically dragging me into a nearby coffee shop. "You must be the Jennifer Wilson from online, right?" "Time certainly has been kind to you," the waiter remarked, asking for a photo with her. At 60, Jennifer still exuded captivating charm with flawless skin and a refined outfit that made her look decades younger. Next to her, I looked every bit the plain, unremarkable old lady I felt I was. "Sarah, I'm truly sorry for causing a rift between you and your husband," Jennifer said softly. "Please allow me to cover the bill." "I want to apologize." She shifted slightly, every movement radiating elegance. "Sarah, you really shouldn't let this trouble you. Rob and the kids consider me family, and I do too." I said nothing, simply clutching my coffee cup. Her tone was measured, but beneath that calm I detected a hint of smug arrogance. "I understand you're angry, but don't hurt yourself over it. And you have no reason to fear that I'll steal him away. If I wanted him, do you honestly think Rob would still be married to you? Women shouldn't make things hard for one another." As painful as it was to admit, Jennifer's words rang true. If she chose to take the initiative, Rob would undoubtedly end our marriage in a heartbeat. But why hadn't she? I demanded answers. After a long silence, Jennifer pulled out a photograph and handed it to me. In the picture, she was embraced by Rob on one side and on the other, Jack Mitchell, Rob's older brother. "I never imagined I'd speak of him again," she confessed. "I miss those early days so terribly. I used to dream of being Jack's wife, but he betrayed me. He left me and quickly married someone else." For the first time, I saw a flash of indignation on Jennifer's otherwise unflappable face. I refused to believe he'd forgotten his vows, so I began contacting Rob, hoping to make Jack jealous enough to come back to me. Tenderly, she caressed the face in the photo, tears welling up. Rest assured, I'm only using Rob. There's never been anything physical between us. So what? Should I applaud your moral high ground? Be thankful that in all these 30 years of deceiving me, no physical betrayal occurred. I shot back. Before the words could fully form, a cup shattered on the floor. Rob had slipped in behind us, unnoticed. Jennifer stared at him, utterly bewildered. "Rob, what are you doing here?" she asked, dabbing away her tears. Almost instinctively, Rob reached out to brush away a tear from her cheek. Startled, Jennifer awkwardly withdrew his hand. It wasn't until I let out a quiet chuckle that Rob snapped back to attention. He glanced at me before his eyes drifted to Jennifer's iced coffee. "How can you drink an iced Americano?" he chided, as if forgetting her stomach issues. Nervously, Rob quickly poured her a cup of hot water, testing the temperature on the back of his hand before handing it over. After 30 years living with a man who wouldn't even operate the water dispenser without my help, I was struck by the realization that he could, after all, take care of someone. "I know that deep inside, your anger has no outlet," he said to me. "If you want to hit or shout at me, I won't complain. I admit I've deceived you. But why must you force this on Jennifer? You're no longer the Sarah I once knew. I'm deeply disappointed in you." I stared into his eyes, which were filled with overwhelming disappointment. How could a man so selfish possess any qualities worthy of my love? "Rob, in our home, am I supposed to be a mother or a maid? Or do you simply believe that a mother is nothing more than a housekeeper?" I demanded. "You have no right to express disappointment in me. I'm the one who should be disappointed. 30 years wasted, kept in the dark by our entire family." "Must you say it so harshly?" he pleaded. Jennifer interjected. "This all started because of me. I should be the one apologizing to you both." Without warning, Rob stood and swept Jennifer into his arms, shielding her as though she were his most precious treasure. I watched in silence. There was a time when I too had defended Rob in the early days of his career, when friends and neighbors doubted him. I, with a heavy belly, had stood up for him, reprimanding anyone who dared throw cold water on his dreams. And what did I receive in return? My own husband's resentment while he shielded another woman as if I were the villain. In a fit of rage, I flung my coffee over Rob's face and then hurled the cup at him. Jennifer shrieked, "Sarah, you're crazy." I glared at Rob, teeth gritted with fury. "You have no right to apologize on her behalf, Rob. If you really need it, I can arrange for you to spend every Thanksgiving with her forever if you agree to a divorce." Back in Boston, I began packing my belongings. 30 years of my life had been wasted. My seasonal clothes wouldn't even fill a single suitcase. Some of these garments had been my constant companions for years. The only new clothes I'd received in recent years were the ones Emma bought for me when she got her first paycheck, and I'd been too reluctant to wear them. I remembered how Emma had once proudly declared that from then on, she and Michael would take care of buying my clothes, but they'd long forgotten that promise. I stared at the coat Emma had given me for what felt like an eternity before finally returning it to the closet. I no longer needed it. After years away from shopping for myself, I stepped into a bustling mall. I wandered into the women's section and picked up a bright red dress. A friendly sales associate complimented me and even selected matching shoes. I caught my reflection and offered a soft, liberated smile. Not the weary smile I'd worn after a day of endless housework, but one that spoke of being alive again. Before embarking on my journey, I met with a divorce lawyer and carefully reviewed the separation papers. When she handed the documents to me, she smiled warmly and said, "Ma'am, congratulations on beginning your next adventure." That young smile eased something deep inside me. Ending a marriage isn't about having your future happiness snatched away. It's about opening the door to a brand new chapter. I suddenly found myself with vast stretches of free time I'd never known before. In just a few days of rest, I discovered the true meaning of freedom. So I set off without hesitation. On the day of my departure, when Michael and Emma came home, they found the divorce papers neatly laid out on the table. They bombarded me with voice messages, each blaming my stubbornness and mocking the idea that our family could possibly function without me. Rob even called, questioning if I really had to go this far. They assumed their harsh words would break me, that I'd crumble under the weight of their disapproval. But they were mistaken. Once you accept reality and let go of past attachments, your mind clears and the truth becomes undeniable. After decades spent tangled in lies and obligations, I realized that my remaining days to truly live were far too few to waste on endless arguments. I was ready to chase sunlight, freedom, and the things that set my soul on fire. With my phone switched to airplane mode, I left all the past behind and headed toward the boarding gate, ready to step into my new life. On my travels, I encountered countless young people who patiently taught me how to take pictures, compose shots, and even encouraged me to start vlogging. Your videos could inspire other seniors like you, they said. At first, the comments were laced with mockery, accusing me of just chasing attention. I brushed it off. Even if just one person felt encouraged, it was enough. Gradually, my videos began to garner a flood of likes and genuine admiration. Many left comments of envy and even hailed me as a role model. During my journey, Rob would call me at all hours. I ignored his first call, then the second, then the third, until one time by accident I answered. I heard Rob standing by the washing machine, his face a picture of confusion as he fiddled with the buttons. "Sarah, when are you coming back? My clothes are dirty, and I can't figure out how to work the washer." Without waiting for my reply, he wandered into the kitchen and asked how to tell sugar from salt. I sighed in exasperation. The ever-resourceful Rob, could he really not know these basic things? It was clear he was trying, in his own clumsy way, to give me an out, but I wasn't going to give him that comfort. "Call me again when you're ready to sign the divorce papers." "Sarah, must it really come to this? You know I've never wanted to break our family apart," he pleaded. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "Rob, you already failed me when you were 30. You married me only because you'd given up on Jennifer. And for 30 years, you clung to her. Your cowardice is what brought us here." He stuttered. "Now you're 60. You have me at home and Jennifer out there. You can't have it both ways. There's no such thing in the world. Just let me go. It's the only way you can truly be free." Rob was at a loss, muttering that he knew he'd done wrong. Just as I was about to hang up, my phone slipped into Michael's hand. "Mom, can you come back? Emma and I wanted to see you." "Maybe later, Michael. You've been apart from me for years now. Perhaps once I've savored my own vacation, I'll have time to resume my role as your always caring mother." With that, I ended the call, leaving the past behind as I continued on my journey. Rob finally signed the divorce papers. I returned to Boston to collect my divorce certificate, and soon Michael and Emma were bombarding me with calls. On the other end, Michael erupted. "Mom, have you thought about my reputation at all? What will people say about me? At your age, causing a divorce fuss. Can't you just pretend nothing's wrong? And what about the asset division? Are you forcing Dad to give you his money? Is that even fair? How dare you take so much of what Dad earned? Even if you ignore Dad, you should think of me. I'm about to start my own family. Dad's support used to help me out, but now you've taken most of his money. Are you trying to ruin me?" he shouted. I had already let everything go. Calmly, I replied, "I supported you for nearly 30 years. You know I fulfilled every duty. And yet, what do you know about gratitude? Do you even understand what it means to be dutiful? I will not allow you to be that spoiled boy who would always break my heart again." He didn't fire back, and I continued. "And when you start your own family, if you have a daughter, a little girl, can you bear watching her go through what I did? Would you want your little sister to live the life I had lived?" After a long pause, his voice rose again in self-justification. "You talk about grand ideals. Everyone has their own dreams. Life is just fate's design. Just give me back the money," he demanded. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I had never even mentioned a specific amount, and strictly speaking, it was Rob who was entirely in the wrong. I said nothing more and hung up the phone. Over a month later, I met Rob again. He had aged considerably. When he saw me, he hesitated, then murmured, "You've changed so much." And indeed I had. I now fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow, woke naturally the next day, free from endless chores and the need to pander to others. And I looked better for it. After I signed the final documents, I passed the pen to Rob. He lowered his eyes, hesitating as if burdened by the past. Finally, he asked in a tentative voice, "If I promise that from now on I'll spend every holiday with you and sever ties with Jennifer, would you give me another chance?" I was taken aback, but my answer was firm. "No. It's like a graded exam. No matter how much you change your answers, it doesn't matter. Just sign the papers. You've already wasted the first half of my life. Don't waste the rest." Without further protest, Rob signed. 1 month later, Jennifer became the talk of the town, her name trending online again. She reshared a family photo that Michael had posted. In the picture, Jennifer was linked arm in arm with Rob. Michael was cozily embracing a young woman, presumably his wife, and at the center, Emma beamed with joy. The caption read, "True destiny endures the test of time. Mine and my father's as well." The post sparked a frenzy of attention, discussion, and likes. The comment section overflowed with well wishes, though a few doubters speculated that her previously curated single image had merely been a ploy for clicks. One comment even mused, "Could this be the same person who spent 30 Thanksgivings with Alicia before?" Meanwhile, Michael, desperate to show off the so-called new family, sent me screenshots of the glowing comments along with a note. "See? We're one happy family." I chose not to engage. Instead, I set off on a new tour once again. Little did they expect that the house of cards would come crashing down so swiftly. After I left, Jennifer moved in with Rob. At first, everything looked perfect, a picture of family bliss. Michael and Emma, who had always complained about my constant nagging, now relished Jennifer's gentle, soothing manner. They even began calling her Mom without hesitation. Later, when Jennifer started spending her own money to hire a nanny, the family's affection for her soared even higher. One day, the nanny was so overwhelmed with work that she couldn't find time to walk Max. Sensing an opportunity, Jennifer volunteered to take him out. Instead of heading to a quiet park, she opted for a stroll around a shopping mall. However, the mall enforced a strict no-pets policy. Unable to resist a sale, Jennifer slipped into a clothing store with Max waiting outside. By the time she emerged, Max had vanished without a trace. Panic set in. After hours of frantic searching and a desperate call to the police, Max was still nowhere to be found. When she returned home, the nanny had already clocked out. Without missing a beat, Jennifer shifted all the blame onto the nanny and promptly fired her. One would have thought that would be the end of it, but Jennifer had underestimated how much Max meant to Emma. Max had been Emma's loyal playmate for years, more treasured than even her best friend. Incensed, Emma, along with Michael, stormed over to the fired nanny's place, unleashing a tirade that left her reeling and embarrassed in front of their neighbors. The poor nanny, having lost not only her job but also her dignity, only learned the whole truth from Emma's bitter accusations. Feeling wronged, the nanny took to the internet to expose Jennifer. She condemned Jennifer for her air of superiority, her constant disdain for hardworking staff, and for her habit of lying and shirking responsibility. Her post quickly caught fire, and animal lovers flooded Jennifer's comment section, demanding that she apologize. When Emma and Michael learned the full story, they could hardly believe the woman they once welcomed into the family was capable of such behavior. In an abrupt reversal, they forced Jennifer to apologize and demanded that she find Max. But Jennifer refused. "It was merely an innocent oversight," she claimed, shamelessly arguing. "Max is old enough to know better. If he wanders off, then so be it. I can always get another." Out of sheer exasperation, Emma called me after all these months. "Mom, we said some awful things when we were angry. Can't we just let it go? Don't be so stubborn. You always treated Max so well. We know you must be worried about him." They weren't entirely wrong. Max had always been the best part of our little family. He would eagerly pick up the grocery bag when I went shopping, and whenever I tied a knot on the garbage bag at the door, he'd faithfully carry it to the dumpster. At home, he was my constant companion. When Max went missing, I was just as distraught as they were, even though I felt helpless to do anything. After their call, I scrambled to recall every park and corner Max loved to frequent and relayed every address I could think of. Thankfully, after a nerve-wracking few days, Max was found safe and sound. He'd been hanging out in the park I frequented with him. Yet the drama didn't end there. The incident sparked a massive uproar online. The moment Max was recovered, the internet lit up with controversy. Internet sleuths combed through Jennifer's social media, questioning, why would a 60-year-old marry someone who already has children and even an ex-wife? That one question stirred 1,000 more. Soon, similar queries flooded in. Insiders began spilling details about Rob's divorce, and even recalled the commotion in that fateful coffee shop. As questions and answers flew back and forth, more and more details emerged. Some fans defended Jennifer, tweeting, "Stop being so judgmental. True love always finds its way." Others countered, "Where did the original wife go? How can a couple who spent most of their lives together suddenly decide to divorce? Something isn't adding up." Remember when she posted that video about spending the 30th Thanksgiving together, claiming that the man was only a confidant? So where is his wife now? And wasn't his divorce finalized just months ago? Could it be that the original wife caught him cheating? Poor original wife! Before long, both Jennifer and Rob were trending nationwide. Local neighbors even compiled timelines that pieced together the true sequence of events. From being the object of envy to becoming the subject of widespread scorn, Jennifer offered no response. She simply deactivated her account. With her silence, the online community turned its attention to Michael. Swarms of commenters bombarded his posts, calling him shameless and ungrateful, labeling him a heartless ingrate. The controversy raged on. Even the old neighbors, upon hearing the news, rallied to my defense. They pointed accusing fingers at Rob and called Michael and Emma spoiled brats who'd never learned gratitude. My travel account, my little corner of the internet where I shared my journey, was eventually unearthed by curious internet users. One comment asked how I felt about everything. I didn't scold or complain. I simply replied, "May everyone have the courage to start over. And may everyone soon realize that life is meant to be lived for oneself." That one remark garnered countless likes and praise for its wisdom. In just a few days, my followers exploded, and I kept hitting the platform's recommendation list. I'd become an influential figure, so much so that a local senior college invited me to visit and even speak. Who would have thought that after leaving that unloving home behind, I would find success? No longer was I the invisible old lady I once was. I now radiated confidence and vitality, as if my long-awaited spring had finally arrived, undimmed by lost years and advancing age. Since the college was right here in Boston, it wasn't entirely unexpected when I ran into Rob and Jennifer again. After finishing my speech and heading out of the building, I saw Rob standing under a tree's shade, his gaze fixed on me. "Sarah, how have you been?" he asked hesitantly. He looked like a shriveled eggplant left out in the sun, his face creased with fine lines and exhaustion. After decades of knowing each other, I greeted him like an old friend. "I'm doing well. How's the family?" "That's good. I'm glad you still talk to me," he murmured, offering a small, tentative smile. Yet something in his familiar eyes stirred an unexpected sense of estrangement in me. Before I could process it further, Jennifer appeared around the corner, her voice shrill and hysterical. "Rob, I can't believe you suddenly agreed to come pick me up. Yesterday it turns out you knew Sarah was coming here." In that moment, I realized everyone had changed. Jennifer's eyes, once bright and full of light, now seemed dimmed. "You just can't let her go, can you? Because you never forget her. You've grown colder to me ever since your kids went crazy over that dog and scolded me. You just sat there in silence," she screamed. With a sudden motion, Jennifer scooped up a stick and took off chasing Rob along the roadside. Onlookers whispered and watched the unfolding drama. "She used to be my role model," someone murmured. "Now she has changed so much, completely lost that old graceful aura." Another bystander added, "Have you heard? Ever since all that family scandal, they haven't been able to hire a decent nanny. They even delayed paying their housekeeper, and it all got exposed. Now every local agency has blacklisted them." It wasn't until the college administrator stepped in that the whole farce was finally halted. Later, as I stood at the airport waiting for my next flight, a fellow traveler asked me where I was off to next. I wasn't entirely sure, but one thing was clear: I wasn't going to stand still at the same place ever again. I would always be on the move, forever chasing new horizons. The announcement came over the speaker. "Flight 247 to Paris is now boarding." I smiled, picked up my small red suitcase, and walked toward the gate. My life, my real life, was just beginning. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Leave a like and comment below what you thought of the story. See you in the next video.